This is Stunning Hot, standing frozen in time. The hawker center is eerily silent, and the neighborhood shops adjacent to it all have shutters closed. Walk by the housing blocks, and you see no signs of life. Where are the residents? You see, these people have moved on. Under the selective en bloc redevelopment scheme, these residents have been relocated to new high-rise public housing flats in the rejuvenated Dawson estate on the other side of Queensway. Now, SERS is not a new concept at this point, relocating residents in older estates into newer and denser ones to optimize land use. But the newest housing blocks that these residents get incorporate a new feature that is rather alien to those of older SERS projects: sky gardens. You see, under the Remaking Our Heartlands program, Dawson was envisioned to follow a housing in a park concept, featuring sky gardens prominently. Many previous housing projects did feature rooftop gardens on top of multi-story car parks, but the sky terraces, sky bridges, and rooftops in which this new class of sky garden sits are truly next level. Why do they exist, and what purpose do they serve? To answer these questions, let's start by exploring how such skyscraper HDBs came about. For most of Singapore's post-independence history, public housing was relatively high-rise in nature by the standards of most countries, mainly composed of slab blocks between 10 and 16 stories in height and 25-story point blocks. But skyscraper-style public housing has only been a relatively recent development. Talks on such structures began in 1995, made feasible by better construction technology and faster lifts, and beneficial by the panoramic views it provides, and their ability to maximize land use. The first 30-story public housing project, Bishan Heights, was only fit for living in 1998. Shortly after, 40-story HDB blocks came into existence with the completion of Toa Payoh Towers in 2004. As housing blocks surged in height, a few unusual issues arose at the time, which have never been a problem for older blocks. The first major concern is fire safety evacuation. Take this 40-story block in Toa Payoh as an example. Even for an able-bodied person like me, climbing down 79 flights of stairs would take some 7.5 minutes, with a risk of injury in the process. This does not even factor in the congestion which will arise during an evacuation, when an entire building's population rushes down at the same time. This would be untenable for housing blocks that are even taller than that. Such concerns were raised when Pinnacle at Duxton, the first 50-story tall housing precinct, was announced. What follows in 2006 is the introduction of additional fire safety requirements for super high-rise residential buildings, which must be complied with by housing projects that are taller than 40 stories. The key feature that was introduced with this updated fire code is the concept of refuge floors, which have to be built in up to 20-story intervals. Many rules are outlined to ensure the safety of residents evacuating to the refuge floor, which influences its design beyond merely fire-resistant furnishing. For one, the space has to be large enough to hold half the residents in the entire building. To ensure good ventilation for evacuees from smoke, ventilation openings must also be huge and present throughout the floor. This necessitates larger floor-to-ceiling heights than regular floors, to maximize the potential area of ventilation openings. Along staircase landings, signages are erected to direct residents to holding points on refuge floors. Given the need to separate residential units from these refuge areas, and to ban commercial activities in such places to make them always ready for evacuation, the vast amount of open space will be wasted, unless it is used for another purpose. From the late 1990s, the concept of having gardens in the sky began to grow in prominence among professionals in the built environment. Such sky terraces provide communal spaces and greenery in the sky, and are seen to further strengthen Singapore's image as a garden city. To encourage the construction of these building features, incentives were introduced beginning in 1997. It began with this measure targeted at the private sector. The floor area of a sky garden within this 45-degree line from the outer edge of the building is excluded from the computation of the gross floor area. For a fixed allowable gross plot ratio, the ratio of the gross floor area to the building's plot area, this exclusion allows floor area that originally is deemed wasted on sky terraces to instead be used elsewhere for housing units. These regulations, later incorporated into the Landscaping for Urban Spaces and High-Rises or LUSH program, thus promote lofty and airy designs for sky terraces, with deeper depths and higher ceilings. The latest iteration of LUSH even introduced a green plot ratio to further encourage greenery in features such as sky gardens. The result is spacious communal spaces that provide panoramic views and soft greenery in a sea of harsh concrete, with facilities from benches and picnic tables to fitness stations and playgrounds, brought closer in vertical distance to the residential units surrounding it. These are traits that so happen to align with that of Refuge floors, thus unifying these two concepts, which helps to make them a reality in the newest public housing projects. As it turns out, sky gardens are also crucial to maintain a good quality of life in the built environment, as Singapore builds taller and developments grow larger in scale. Without such mitigation strategies, residents living on lower floors and commuters on the ground level will increasingly suffer from having a dystopian, monotonous view of wall-like developments. This is proven to lead to higher stress levels. Such wall-like developments also obstruct wind flow, resulting in stagnant air of poor quality while exacerbating the urban heat island effect and causing higher temperatures. Drawing from the negative experiences of Hong Kong, developmental control guidelines were implemented in 2010 to control the form of high-density developments like public housing, with new restrictions on building heights, lengths, and spacing. In this case, sky gardens also help to mitigate overwhelming building massing and provide visual relief to surrounding residents by breaking the monotony of windows and making these buildings more permeable and interesting to look at. Super high-rise HDB flats featuring sky gardens are immensely popular to both current and prospective homeowners, judging the eye-watering prices that the resale flats that have these facilities go for. That does raise some concerns on how public housing could remain affordable, as low-income earners often find themselves priced out of buying flats featuring such novel features. As for those who already reside here, they also come with a massive, unexpected drawback. Since publicly accessible sky gardens are still rather uncommon in Singapore, very few places have such amazing vantage points. This results in more strangers than usual congregating in such places, causing littering, noise pollution, and generally a loss of privacy for residents living near the sky gardens. Once, during New Year's Day, hundreds of people even turned up en masse to catch a good view of fireworks, resulting in ridiculous hours-long waiting time at the lift lobby for residents to return to their units from the ground floor. This has resulted in calls from residents to restrict access to the rooftop sky garden, as it is done in Pinnacle at Dawson or many of the private condominiums that currently feature these sky terraces. But I'm sure many Singaporeans do enjoy gathering in these sky gardens. These facilities providing picturesque views also double as great community spaces for people to gather, high up in the air. Currently, HDB does not intend to gatekeep access to the sky garden from the public like the condominiums out there, which will limit the supply of such views to the exclusive few who are lucky enough to get a flat in these places. Instead, it treats such places akin to other communal areas, like playgrounds and parks at the ground level, opting for a less absolute approach, using signages and patrols. Increasingly, more housing precincts with such sky gardens will be built in the diverse array of new towns in the coming years, as blocks which are lower than 40 stories in height also come decked with sky gardens. This will hopefully dilute the crowd. With more sensitive sky garden designs that reduce potential disamenities for residents, perhaps this chasm between the households and the public can be balanced, as Singapore builds even more of these skyscraper HDBs.